Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I've got the tire glued up. It's ready to go on the rim. I spent a little time and took the rim off the bandsaw. I think it's going to be a lot easier to put it on. Now it's just a matter of doing it. Kind of hard to see, but the rim is crowned. So tape on this rim probably would work just fine. This is the stuff I was talking about that was embedded in the surface. I'm going to take this up to the sink and wash it off. It's glued together, it's set overnight. Hopefully that's got a good grip on it. Stretches a little. I don't know how much I got to stretch it to get it over the top. Hopefully not much more than a ½ inch or so. Really just want to have enough tension to hold it on there. Got a bump on this side. I got to smooth it off a bit. There, that's got that. A little bit more over here. Because if I have something trapped underneath the tire, that's not going to do a whole lot of good for me. It's going to make a bump. Well, the excess sands off easy. I'll take it up to the sink and wash off this gunk and see what happens. I've got the tire up soaking in the sink to warm up. It's already warm. I mean, it's been in the basement the whole time. But I want to have it up above room temperature. I want to have it to the point where it's maximum stretchy. So while that's doing that, I'm going to clean off this rim. I took the rim off the bandsaw. I looked at it and I read where people put the tires on while it was still on the bandsaw. And I looked at my bandsaw and there's a whole lot of stuff in the way. Blade guides and a bunch of other things. And I thought, well, you know, it's going to take me a couple of minutes to get the wheel off, which it did. I had to tap on the shaft with a punch and a lead hammer. But it came off relatively easy because this shaft is not the best fit. The metric nut that holds it on the end of the shaft is threaded left-handed, and I'm not going to be making a left-hand thread because I'd have to make a left-handed thread nut, and making a new shaft when the old shaft is still working just seems like wasted effort. But I managed to get the wheel off without any damage. Casting appears to be running fairly straight. Has a steel bushing that the shaft rides on. That's good, because otherwise, with it running loose like that nut does, because the thread is so bad, it would have just totally chewed out the inside of this aluminum wheel. And I can make a bushing, that's not a problem. But trying to center the wheel on a 9-inch swing lathe, that's not so easy. So then I'd have to be making jigs and fixtures to try and hold the wheel centered and aligned. And we saw how well that worked when I was doing the fan wheel and when I was putting the spoked wheel for the post drill flywheel together. Can be done, pain in the butt. And it doesn't exactly come out perfectly straight when you're done. It's pretty close, but it's not perfectly straight. So this is the back of the wheel, and this is the front. Now what I intend to do is start the tire on, drop the wheel down into the vise here. Then while the wheel is held in place by the vise, I'm going to tighten the wheel up into the vise, then pull the tire up over. There's a company that sells urethane tires for these rims, and they provide a wooden dowel with a screw on the end of it so that it catches the back side of the wheel. I'm going to use this Phillips screwdriver, and I'm going to run it against the front side of the wheel. And what they said is, you put the tire on, you slip their dowel underneath the edge, and then you spin it around the tire. That equalizes the stretch on the tire so that the tire is the same thickness all the way around. I don't know how that's going to work with this glued together tire, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, the tire's been soaking in the bath now about 5 minutes. Should have reached equalized temperature, about 140 degrees. Okay, it seems nice and stretchy. We'll lay it on the table here. Set the wheel over it. Drop it down into the vise. Clamp the vise up. And then see if I can stretch this tire over without breaking it. Well, that's where the tire was split completely in two and I glued it back together. These two spots here, this was a crack halfway across, and this was a crack about 2/3 of the way across. I got a little gap right there. But the tire is on. I'm going to put a little extra super glue in this gap right here. Looks like it's going to work, guys. We're going to let it set for a while. See just how well it does work. Went on pretty darn easy, almost too easy, to the point where it's making me a little nervous. This is the last step before final assembly. Well, the tire's glued up and it's on the rim. I'm going to leave it sit for a while just to see if it pops off. No point putting the whole thing together again just to take it all off. David Chadwick suggested that I use liquid detergent and rub it into the tire to condition it, and it seems to have worked just great. But he also said that I need to put talcum powder on the outside of the tire so that it doesn't stick to the bandsaw blade. Well, I don't have any talcum powder, but I do have Gold Bond Healing Medicated Original Strength Body Powder. If it's healing, it might just make it so this tire lasts another 5 or 10 years. Doesn't hurt. So if you're looking to do this job, this is what I used, Gold Bond. I would have used baby powder, but we don't have any baby powder anymore. Seems that we stopped buying that about, I don't know, 28 years ago. I'm just going to rub this in around the outside, make it so that it's all smells good. Okay, we're ready to put this thing on. Next step, slide this assembly into the top of the saw. Mount the top wheel, mount the bottom wheel, making sure that, of course, that the tire's on it. Then hook up all the shrouds and guards and guides and everything else, and we're ready to go. Adjustable. Got all my fittings and linkages and lines and everything all hooked up. It's going to be fun. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.